Hi, this is Lance Wallnau, and welcome to today's broadcast on specifically the PhD that you need in understanding your personal history and destiny. That's your PhD. I don't care what kind of degrees you get in any subject. If you don't know how to unlock your history, if you don't know how to interpret the journey that you've been on and where God is calling you to go, you've missed the one course you cannot afford to miss in school. You should have a doctorate in your own destiny. So let's talk about the essentials of that, because I spent 30 years obsessing on this subject of the call of God. And you know what's great about the call of God is that even when you blow it, even when you miss it, even when you screw up, God works that into the power of your future. So for instance, remember, I was worried, I shouldn't say worried, it perplexed me that Jesus prayed for Peter. Remember when Jesus says to him, Peter, Satan desires to test you, but I have prayed for you. And I always used to think, why is Jesus praying for him? Why doesn't he just somehow keep the devil from testing him? Why doesn't he take authority or do something? Or why doesn't Peter cooperate in such a way that he can avoid that ghastly chapter of what? His denial of Christ, recorded in every version of the gospel for history? Well, here's the reality of it. The Lord has so constructed the journey of your life that he converts even the negative experiences to power. It takes a plus and a minus for a battery to generate power. I'll never forget, I really got irritated when a friend of mine I was in a really negative mood. And when you're negative, you attract negative people. My friend Brad, he came up to me and this other guy. We were both just kind of in a negative state there. And by the way, negative people, prophetic people, have a tendency to go more negative than a lot of people. So I remember I was talking to him, and this guy comes up and says, "Oh, I'm so glad you met, because two negatives make a positive." It irritated me so much because it was funny. That's why it bothered me. And the truth is, God takes the negative things in your life and he puts it together with the areas of your victory, and they produce power. Peter was more powerful because he had more self-awareness. Peter was more powerful because he had been redeemed from failure back into the call of God. And in a sense, God etches deeply and profoundly into your personality a whole dimension of layers of maturity that come out of your mistakes being factored together with your strengths. So I'm saying that because many of you are stuck. And I want to talk about the stuck factor. The prophetic words in your life, or the dreams and visions that you have for your life. You could reach a cycle where, have you ever felt like you're going like in a circle, for instance? So let's take a look at how this goes. So you could feel like you're actually going around in this infinite circle and you're not making progress. But I would encourage you to reconsider the cycles of your life, because part of your PhD is that God takes the negative experiences and he takes the positive experiences, and it produces power in your life. He doesn't always protect you from those experiences. One of the great questions that a current leader in a lot of Western civilization is saying is, would you rather have your children, Jordan Peterson says, would you rather have your children safe or have them strong? Well, sometimes the risk that you take in life is that if you want them to be strong, they might not have positive experiences. But you have to trust that God will weave those things together to produce power. You see, you're not actually going in circles. You think you're going in circles. Many of you are going, watch this, you're going in cycles. And the difference between a circle and a cycle is duration and perspective. Watch this. The cycles you go through get shorter as you move towards, well, let's just say as you move towards getting older. The learning cycles get shorter for obvious reasons, because you've seen the pattern. You've seen yourself. This is the beauty of it. If you've ever been ripped off by somebody in a scam, how shrewd and discerning are you the next time a scam artist comes up to rip you off? Well, if you're stupid, you keep on making the investment over and over again in the same rip-off pitch. Most people don't do that. Your wisdom sometimes comes out of the negative experiences of life, and then God gives you, He redeems it. The whole thing is, when you're walking with God, God redeems your life experiences so that they become converted into power to move you up the mountain of God, so that you'll find your cycles. I'm going to talk about the cycles in a second, but you have cycles and you feel like, well, here I am again. I can't see. No. Your cycles get shorter, and your perspective, which is wisdom, actually gets higher. So when you're standing up here, let me use another pen. This is a multicolored broadcast. So you see you're at this stage here. It seems like, oh, when is this ever going to end? But then you're over here. It's like, oh, wait a second. Then you're over here. Notice that each time, what do you have? A greater vision, a greater clarity, a greater perspective. You're moving up the mountain of God, and you're moving in cycles that give you higher perspective. Now, these kinds of concepts are important in terms of unlocking your history, because your history has those cycles. What do those cycles look like? Well, we discussed that in the material, but for instance, a little teaser copy here that gives you some insight into this. There are 4 stages. In each one of these cycles that you go through, there's 4 stages. And those stages kind of go like this. We'll just take a quick look at it. In terms of those stages, and then there's this 5th where you upgrade and God moves you up. So like when you're on these moments of the journey, you'll start off with the dream. And so in the dream stage, you're really happy. But then boom, you hit the distress stage. The distress stage is when you go through contradiction. And then you start to work your way back up, get back on your feet, and you start to develop maturity, character, wisdom, understanding, perseverance, humility. God's at work in a couple of areas in your life. And then, boom, suddenly you get the moment when you have mastery. You can demonstrate maturity in the thing. And now, so here's how it goes. You're in the journey, and it starts off high, goes low, goes up. That's, why do you think that the Bible talks about endurance as being the key factor, faithfulness being the key factor? And we live in a generation, you hear the term snowflake and stuff like that. It's because most Christians, most unbelievers, most people in Western civilization, unfortunately, have not been hardened by adversity. The adversity actually makes you stronger. But because we've lived in a generation that was raised with prosperity, we haven't had major global conflicts, we've had unlimited freedom, it has created like if you had a spoiled child. We have people that when they hit distress, they melt down. You ever heard the term meltdown? The meltdown means that we don't have this capacity for endurance and grit and perseverance and self-reliance and responsibility, the ability to respond. And so what happens is people kind of like, boom, they blow out. The tire blows out there unless they have Holy Ghost teaching. If you've got Holy Ghost teaching, then you can persevere, because everyone goes through this. Everyone goes through it. Only 20% of believers ever get to the demonstration stage from a prophecy. 20% make it over there. You know why? They think they're supposed to have an easy drop like that. Go up into the glory of God, revival, heaven, God should do boom. And your expectation, you know what really makes people depressed, what makes people quit, what makes people backslide? If your expectation is this and your experience is this, you're wondering what's wrong. Actually, you should be prepared for this. Dreams go into contradiction. Why? Because you're testing what you don't know. Out of contradiction comes development. Out of development comes, boom, a crown of rejoicing, a demonstration. And then look at this. What happens there? God takes you out of that class and He upgrades you to the next. It's like 3rd grade to 4th grade to 5th grade to 6th grade. It happens in life. You start the cycle all over again. You're nervous, you're meeting new people, you don't know if you fit in, you want to be cool, you want to be successful, you want the teacher to like you, all the same stuff. The average person will have 5 cycles they go through in terms of their personal history towards destiny. Look at that, personal history towards destiny. And I'm giving you your PhD now so you can identify the process. Thanks for joining us on this broadcast, and I want to let you know how much it means to me and to our staff to have the support and the friendship of so many of you that are watching these. I know that not everybody can afford to go to our events and sometimes to travel and to attend training, and some people really struggle to even be able to afford to get a product when they watch it on television or in media. So that's the reason why we're breaking down these subjects on the format we are, so that you can get it for free. You can get as much as possible, because really in my heart, I'm a teacher by nature, and so I'm just interested in people getting that which they need by revelation. So thank you for joining us. Those of you that, by the way, want to get a hold of this training and this course or work along with me on the manual, we're really working right now off of Unlocking Your History. And you can find out about the course content and the material at lancewallnau.com/unlock. That's lancewallnau.com/unlock. Thank you.